Thank you everyone for joining. For those of you I haven't met, my name is Zack Poe. I'm an alum of Class of 23 MBA, and I'm our new Director of Alumni Engagement for the Crummer Graduate School of Business. So I'm excited to be here. I'm sure I'll meet most of you at some point, hopefully in person in the future at some of our events. But wanted to thank you for joining us. This is an information session for a Costa Rica Global Immersion experience. This is a experience that we've gotten a lot of feedback from a lot of alumni who loved their international trip, or some that didn't get the chance to go on one, and they really wanted to reconnect with Crummer and have that kind of experience again, the learning, the discovery, and we're excited to offer this to alumni to participate in. And Keith has graciously agreed to be our faculty sponsor and point of contact with his incredible background in Costa Rica in coffee. So I'm going to turn it over to him to go a little bit more into the details.
All right, thanks so very much, Zach. And yeah, this is something we're really excited about, being able to offer this a global immersion experience in Costa Rica, and in this particular case, targeted towards an audience of our alums. There's so many of you who have traveled with me or traveled with other of our faculty outside of your class trips. I've just talked about how much of a rich part of the experience at Crummer it was. And we thought it would be a great opportunity to help you connect over another opportunity like that. It's not something we've had a chance to do much with our alums specifically. In this particular case, the experience that we're going to share, this immersion experience, is targeted around a subject area, which is the intersection of sustainable agriculture, biodiversity, and the role of public policy. And I want to start out by saying that's something that I think has been very much in the news recently, just as a matter of course over the last couple of days. I know NPR has been doing a feature about climate change and the impact on agriculture, and with so much of our global food supply chain being truly global and truly international, being able to understand these linkages is pretty important. And we've talked about that in supply chain. Those of you who have done their sustainability classes, we've talked about that. But this is a really interesting opportunity to take a look at the intersections there and the potential role public policy can play, both domestically in the US, but specifically in the countries where a lot of food products are produced, to understand how those come together to help us ensure that we meet our food needs going forward. That being said, what we're actually hoping to do with our deans, Dean Anil Menon has really brought in a significant emphasis on having us enhance and broaden our reach in terms of the kinds of things that we are able to offer from an executive education perspective to external clients. And this particular offering of course in this space for executive education clients is something that we're seeing a lot of global demand for. And I actually participated in programs of that type at a global level, with large multinational companies, et cetera. So that is actually in development. But the first piece of this that we want to do that's pretty unique is to actually have as part of this, not just a course, but a real in-country immersion where participants would get a chance to actually tour some facilities, meet with some of the key players in governmental and quasi-governmental organizations that are helping to make this possible and supporting sustainable agriculture in a way that can meet our global food supply challenges. That being said, as we're developing this, the idea occurred to say, well, why don't we create the immersion portion of this and make it available to our alumni who have been such strong supporters of our school, who have, again, traveled with us and understand the value of that piece of their education. So it has all come together to create a really unique opportunity for you to get an early view of the immersion portion of what I think will be a very dynamic course. And as we'll see, again, we'll talk about the price point on this, but it'll be significantly lower than what actually executive education clients will eventually pay for the entire thing. So that being said, what I want to provide here is just an overview of who, in terms of the leaders of this trip. You see what the topic is. a brief itinerary for the 7 days that'll occur from November 10th to the 16th this year, coming up pretty quickly. Talk about who our partners are, and talk about the basically what the program and package will look like, and then leave some room for Q&A, and we'll talk about next steps as well. So that being said, let me just quickly run through some of what I think will be some of the key points for this trip. So Costa Rica, as you know, has been renowned for its environmental conservation and those efforts that have been going on for decades, and some of the approaches they've taken to really try to push both social and economical sustainable development. And that's the reason why they've been the core focus of our global offerings in the global sustainability class since 2010, 2009, really. And in the course of that time, I've had the opportunity to travel with between 250 and 300 Crummer students to Costa Rica over this about 15, 16 years, both in that global sustainability class, but also doing 7 consulting projects on the ground in a rural agricultural community. And many of you, some of you I know who have registered for this, were in and took part in one or both of those kinds of experiences. We're really, really fortunate to have a partner leading this effort with me, who is Professor Victor Umania. Victor is a professor at INCAI, and he's actually engaged in a variety of other things connected with sustainable agriculture in Costa Rica and the whole Latin American region. And INCAI, of course, is by some rankings the top MBA program in all of Latin America. Certainly, if you look at the new LinkedIn top 100 global MBA programs that just came out earlier this month, INCAI is right up there at the top of the Latin American schools. Victor and I have worked together. He has taught our students in the past on campus at INCAI and even in Monteverde, Costa Rica. So he's been a friend and a partner to the Crummer School for quite a while, and he is the excellent person to co-lead this effort. Let me step ahead then into the itinerary of what we have put together for you in these 7 days. So I'll just quickly take a look at the itinerary, which I've separated into 3 parts. It's a 7-day immersion. We would arrive on a Sunday, and that's day 1, where we arrive in San Jose, Costa Rica, into that airport, and really just be gathering people as they're arriving. And our program sort of begins when we pick you up with ground transportation at the airport, and we'll gather at our hotel for a dinner. And then early in the morning of day 2, we're going to head off into the mountains up at the Continental Divide in Costa Rica to a community called Monteverde. And in Monteverde, we're going to engage in a number of things over a few days, but you'll see some of the highlights listed there. We're going to get an exploration, both hands-on and in a form of a lecture from some local experts on a permaculture a project that's being developed and has been developed for some time in Monteverde. Permaculture, as you'll know, is a system where that includes regenerative agriculture, which is one of the new sort of buzzwords that everybody's engaged in, but it really is a system of design that is connected with and taking into account the environment in some very, very specific and novel ways. We'll engage with the community of Monteverde, both by understanding some of the history of that community and what's led up to its current time, including some incredibly innovative things that put them on the global forefront in resilience to the pandemic. And then we'll take a deep dive into one of their local NGOs, which is the Monteverde Community Fund. And that'll sort of take us through day 2. Day 3 and 4, we're going to spend in the Monteverde community again, and we're going to focus in on conservation of nature and biodiversity and really understanding. I know when I've talked to my students in global sustainability, we talk about biomimicry and biodiversity and natural capital. And we'll get a chance to see one of the premier examples in Costa Rica of nature conservation and how it's played into the development of a community and into our agricultural systems and the connections that take place. We will look specifically in these couple of days at the sector of agriculture focused around coffee. So we're going to spend some time understanding the coffee process. We'll be touring a coffee farm and its processing facilities, and we're going to understand the linkage to biodiversity there in a very deeply connected way. And then on day 4, we're going to really look at the public policy piece of this because Costa Rica has taken a very innovative approach over decades, over a period of about 70 years. They took a really innovative step and created some what I'll call quasi-governmental organizations that have been engaged in promoting different sectors of the economy. And one of them is e-Cafe, which is sort of the Government Coffee Institute that has played a role in understanding and administering, if you will, the connections between different sectors within the local coffee value chain. What it's done is to create some really interesting and unique opportunities for producers in that space and help them navigate the very complex global market. And again, the role they're playing in a governance structure in that sector is really interesting. So we're going to get a lecture from the gentleman who just recently retired as the head of the largest coffee cooperative in the country and has been engaged very significantly with this institute. So he's going to share with us some discussion on public policy and the role it's played, the challenges it faces, and there are some really interesting challenges, but how public policy can play to help foster a good symbiotic relationship between sustainability and biodiversity, as well as protecting the social sustainability side of things from living income for farmers and worker conditions and so on in the coffee sector. We'll take a look also on that day 4 at a smaller organization, a local family-owned cosmetics business that's tied to agricultural products. And we'll take a look now at a more micro enterprise and how they are navigating the global space in providing products that are connected with nature. So after a couple of days, 3 days in Monteverde, we're actually going to transition on day 5. Oh, and let me back up. I'm sorry. Our key partner there, I talked about eCafe, but Life Monteverde is our key partner in the Monteverde community who we've worked with for 16 years now. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if any of you are on the call, but a team of Crummer consulting students were actually instrumental in developing the first strategic plan for Life Monteverde as an organization when they were born out of this coffee family. So we have a long connection between Crummer and the Monteverde community. As I said, we're then going to transition and move to another part of the country on the Pacific coast, a region called Capos, a town called Capos, which is close to the very popular Manuel Antonio National Park there. And what we're going to do is focus on different sectors of the economy. We're going to of the agricultural economy. We're going to take a look at aquaculture. We're going to spend some time visiting a shrimp farm and look at how they are engaged in this very delicate marine ecosystem on the coast, and the work that they're doing in community efforts, supporting the social side of sustainability, and then we'll spend some time getting to know that community a little bit. And our last full day, we will spend visiting a palm plantation. So palm oil has had a very interesting spot in sustainable agriculture. It's a product that has been, has received a lot of negative attention because of some deforestation practices in different parts of the world. And again, if you've been in my class, Kit Kat and palm oil have a very interesting place in our classroom experience. But we're going to take a look at a palm oil plantation that's doing things right. There was no deforestation involved. They actually were reclaiming land that had been previously made unusable. So they're taking a positive role, not just from an economic standpoint and ecological standpoint, but also from the work they're doing supporting the local community in a significant way. And they're part of a program that's supported by an organization called Crummer. Crummer is, again, another one of these, let's say, quasi-governmental organizations. And Victor Umania, who is a professor from INCAI, who is our partner in co-leading this program, he's actually on the board of Crummer. So he's in a very unique position to help talk about the role that they're playing. But we also have some other partners from Crummer who are going to be joining us. And they're going to help shape for us a good picture of the role that this governmental organization is playing, particularly on small business and exports in the agricultural sector and beyond. And then our last day, we'll leave from Capos and make the short drive back to the airport for our departure. So that's really the itinerary planned for the days that we are on the actual immersion itself. And I want to then talk about the program cost. So this program, basically, as we've put it together for you, we're offering it to our alumni at a price of $2,600 per person, a double occupancy. And you see the list of things that are included in this. So this includes everything from the time we pick you up at the airport till the time we drop you off at the airport, pretty much. And so 7 nights of accommodations in San Jose, in Monteverde, in Capos, um, 8 company NGO visits and field trips, including the ones I've outlined and a few others that aren't even on those slides. Um, Ground transportation, as I said, to and from the airport, but also among the 3 locations we'll be visiting, and then within each of those locations. So we'll have our own dedicated buses and drivers for us the whole time. And then all your meals are also included from dinner on that first night all the way through breakfast on that last morning when we leave to head back to the airport. So pretty much we've included all your costs except for, let me pop out what's not included just to be really clear. So participants would be responsible for their own airfare to and from Costa Rica, passport, visa fees, etc., travel insurance, and then personal expenses while you're there beyond the typical meals. And what we've done is we've not included alcoholic beverages with those meals just because some people take part in those, some don't. It's a little difficult to sort of prescribe that up front. So we're saying if people want to, add alcoholic beverages to their dinners in particular, they are welcome to do that, but at their own expense. So what I've attempted to do is give you here a overview of what we have planned for what we think is going to be a really, really exciting trip. I've had many discussions over the last year with Victor Romani over this, and INCAI has its own executive education program. There are other executive education programs, but nobody is doing something quite like this. As we've looked in the marketplace, as we go from executive education to looking at alumni travel, I am part of the Cornell University Alumni Network, and I get emails from them. And they just came out with a trip to Costa Rica that they're offering to their alumni for $8,900. So we're actually feeling like what we're able to offer you is at a really good price point to get to engage in this experience. And it's going to be really beneficial for us because the feedback from this experience, your engagement from this experience, I think is going to help us even more robustly offer an executive education market, a really interesting educational experience in the future that'll be born out of this alumni trip that we're creating for you. So at that stage, with that quick summary, I'm going to turn it over back to Zack just to talk about what you need to do to secure your place. November 10th is coming up pretty quickly. So he can tell you about some of the next steps, the things that are lined up. And then either he or I think, or a few other folks who are on the call might be in a position to answer any questions that you might have at this stage, knowing that, of course, there's going to be a lot more communication coming out of this very, very soon. So I'll stop right there. I'll turn it over to Zack. And of course, I'm here for questions and comments, et cetera, in our remaining time.
Yeah, thank you, Keith. So just our quick kind of next steps. We appreciate everyone is here. And we already have a question in the chat, so I'll just kind of really briefly touch on this and we'll get to that. We're going to follow up with everybody. We have people registered who are not able to attend, but we've recorded the session. So we will follow up with everyone with information that we've covered in this session, the price breakdown, all those kinds of details, as well as a quick survey for anyone that's interested in taking it and giving some feedback about what their thoughts are on the program. And then keep an eye out, probably in the next week or so, we'll send out information on how to actually reserve your spot for the program. So we would like to make sure we're giving everyone equal opportunity to sign up and have the information. So keep an eye out for that. We will have that to you very soon. I'll go our first question. Looks like Diana asked, do we have a single occupancy price?
Excuse me. So we haven't published a single occupancy price for this, but we have taken into account that there probably will be some folks who are interested in having their own room. So we're working with our local partner on the ground to determine what that upcharge will be. We have made sure we reserved a couple extra rooms, so we will have those available, but we should be able to have that price for you. It will, yeah. So at this point, I don't have an exact number for you, but it will be at least a few $100s more than that, because we're talking about basically 7 hotel nights of trying to get accommodations for an individual who wants their own room. So we'll get that detail to you, to those folks who want to request a single room as soon as possible.
Okay. Thank you.
So if you don't request a single room and you sign yourself up, then you would just put people together? Is that how that works?
Well, so we can do it a couple of different ways. When we've worked with students, we've asked folks if they want to identify somebody who wants to room with. We typically will have obviously gender separation, but we may have couples. We've had inquiries from folks who want to bring their spouse. And by the way, this is something that we I think went out in the emails, but I didn't talk about so far. But this is a trip that we're actually inviting folks to bring significant other if they want. So it's not just for alums, but it's alumni and spouses or significant others as well. Adults, I guess, not. Or in some of our trips, it won't be as easy to bring the whole family, kids, and so on. So some of that will be based on people who are signing up, 2 people together. People may connect with their alumni classmates and so on. And if we have a single person who wants to be in a double room, we'll figure out how to do that, and we'll pair people up and have you decide if that works for you or not, I guess.
We had a question in the chat. Sorry, go ahead.
So you could bring another adult with you. It wouldn't have to be your significant. It could be a friend of yours that might be interested in this.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, we talked about specifically in terms of spouses, significant others, but in that regard, I mean, yeah, you could bring someone. You could bring someone else. It doesn't have to specifically be a spouse. That would be my take on it. We hadn't talked about that specific instance, but I think that would certainly meet the spirit of the discussion. I mean, I'm talking about an adult with the idea that this person is, it's a connection to Crummer in some way. That'll be the typical audience that's there and is used to what we're, the kind of Crummer experience of our global trips. I don't know, Zach, you have any input on that? That's a situation we hadn't specifically talked about.
I think it's something we can discuss and get back to. So we have 2 questions in the chat. We have Jessica asking, what airline would you suggest taking? And then Jerry asking, what is the max group size?
Really good questions, both of those. So depends on where people are coming from. Not all our alums are here in Orlando. There are direct flights from Orlando to San Jose. The best of those options that I've usually taken is JetBlue. I believe Spirit offers a direct flight as well, and both of those airlines I think also have connections through Fort Lauderdale and others. Many airlines fly direct from the U.S. into San Jose. So if you're coming from Atlanta or from New York or from L.A. or from the Houston area, all the major carriers are flying in and out of there. From Orlando, JetBlue is definitely the best from as far as a direct route. Spirit may have lower prices, and I'll probably leave it at that. The max group size. So we have been targeting a group of 16. Part of that is because of the tours that we are having facilitated for us. There's some capacity issues, constraints on that side. So 16 is our target, and we suspect that group will fill up pretty quickly.
Great. Well, if anyone has any other questions, you're welcome to shout them out. I put them in the group chat, but otherwise, I'm not seeing any.
Zach, would you say that you and I would be probably the best points of contact if people have a direct email question they want to send or phone call, etc.?
Yes, and we'll send a follow-up information email soon with our contact info for any questions.
Cool.
One
And it's
question. Sorry, this is Gabriella, and apologies if I missed it. What is is there a cutoff deadline for registration? I'm so sorry if I missed that.
Zack, you want to address that? I'd say we haven't announced a public, we haven't published a cutoff date yet, but that will be the information that's going to be coming out. This is all going to be happening over the next several weeks, so things will be happening in fairly short order.
Got it. Okay, I'll keep an eye out.
I lost you guys.
Sorry? Did someone have a comment? I didn't hear that, unfortunately.
Oh, I lost you guys for a minute. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, no worries. Did you have a question that we didn't cover, or?
I guess, are there any sustainable credits that we could get for this?
That's a good question. When you say sustainable credits, the idea as we go forward with an actual executive education offering is that it would be something that would count on towards like a certificate or credential or something of that sort. That's not in place yet for this particular immediate offering. What we've done is we've really tried to just create the immersion portion of this and make it available as an experience for our alumni. So I'd say at this point in time, there isn't. I don't know if anyone else has a perspective on that, Zach, or I know Vanessa's on the call as well.
What's the expected activity level? Like, is it a lot of walking?
Yeah, really good question also. And I'll try and answer that quickly because I know we're getting up against our announced time, although I'll be on for a while to answer more questions. Yeah, there's going to be some walking. I wouldn't necessarily say a lot, but yeah, I think we will be doing some walking around some terrain, especially as we're touring the coffee farm and some of the nature preserves where we won't be necessarily on, paved paths. But it's not going to be like aggressive hikes or super steep or anything of that sort. But the activity level will be, I'd say moderate. Nothing at all would be overly strenuous, and much of it will be, typical kind of walking around. Recognize that if you're used to Central Florida, almost all of Costa Rica is nowhere near as flat as Central Florida is. I hope that helps.
Yeah, thanks.
I do want to also say that one of the things that we can certainly do, that you can certainly do, is as you think about this, you might have, fellow alums from your class or anything like that. Please do help get the word out and share it with other alumni as well. We do want everybody to have the chance to take advantage of this opportunity who might not have seen or responded to the initial emails that went out, but we're really excited to be able to offer this at the price point that we're able to offer it, and to give you a shot at one of our few and very early alumni global immersion experiences. One of the things, there's a question in the chat that came to me about about payment structuring, right? Well, it is quite likely that we will have require a deposit by a certain point in time, and that's in the information that's going to be coming out. So it's not just all one payment that's going to be all at one time. It'll probably be in either 2 or 3 payments. Certainly to secure the hotels and things like that, there will be a deposit needed by a certain date, so we can go ahead and lock those rooms in, and then let the hotels know how many singles, how many doubles, etc. So yeah, so there it won't be all in one payment. It'll probably be a bit spread out too, which may help. Although it's all, like I say, happening in the course of the next under 2 months at this stage. Any final comments, Zach, or again, anyone else who's on the call from the Crummer team? I want to be respectful of people's time, so if people want to jump off, they certainly can. I'm happy to hang around here for a while if there are further questions or you just want to catch up.
I have to drop. This is Gabby, but I'll keep an eye out for information. And Dr. Whittingham, nice to hear your voice again. So
Great to hear yours as well.
Drop. Have a great day.
Take care now.
Thank you, everyone.